Today's topic is social media and how it goes in tandem with activism. And this is a topic that is becoming increasingly more sort of not only annoying, I know that sounds controversial, but not only annoying, but definitely more interesting as we start to progress farther as a species in terms of technology being something that is getting more advanced, as well as resources on the earth becoming a lot more scarce and the opportunities for the average person becoming scarce as well. So the reason I wanted to talk about this is because I've always been sort of not necessarily a part of, but disinterested in politics and social media, as well as, well, not social media, but as well as like the idea that one should go on the internet and cape for a certain political party, as well as put hashtags in their bio or a black square in order to be in support of a specific movement. I know that sounds pretty crazy, or because I grew up in New York, so it's a pretty liberal state. In my experience with it, especially going to a liberal state as well as a liberal college in upstate New York, it is something that at some points I don't get. So this video is essentially how I would go about changing the world as a singular person, and how that can be done on a very community level. Because in essence, to change the world means to change the perception about daily life. Now, what I mean by that is going on social media and putting a hashtag and saying, let's say, free Palestine, nothing against any specific sort of political or racial debate on anything that's going on in other parts of the world. I have no sort of affiliation with anything. I don't really stand with any specific movement, but let's say free Palestine, for example. I feel as if social media activism has become sort of like a meme for a lot of people, especially millennials or Gen Z or whatever. Basically, my sort of time of basically young adults has become a meme and something to just do to look cool. And I feel like a lot of people don't take it as seriously, and don't put the right sort of attention into it, because on a surface level, to do something like posting a black square, let's say for Black Lives Matter, or free Palestine in your bio in order to show support of a specific movement, it could only do so much. And a lot of people take social media activism and caping for these various political movements very seriously, when in reality, not much can be done from your computer. You can always show your support, but showing support always can only go so far in terms of making actual change. And that's what this video is about, how you can make change on a local level. Now, let's say you wanted to be in support of these things. Maybe you know someone from Palestine, or maybe you know a black person or something. I feel like having it always be in the back of your mind, you should or shouldn't say certain things in certain situations, goes a longer and a farther way than sort of being this like social media warrior that has like this keyboard and this phone in which you're just typing away and having e-debates with people online you don't even know exist. And social media is becoming increasingly more and more disingenuous and fake, especially with the advent of AI. You might not even be really talking to someone on your computer or your phone on Instagram, let's say, or YouTube, and they might not even exist. It might just be a bot. And if you're on YouTube, if you're on Instagram, you know that bots are rampant. And to get back to the whole how you can change the world sort of, debate, is you shouldn't want to change the world, because changing the world is such a broad sort of statement. It's such a broad sort of endeavor. what you should want to do is change individual realities within your vicinity. I'm talking about community stuff, going to soup kitchens. I know that's kind of a meme too, but you know, going to a soup kitchen or going to, you know, your nearest food drive or donation center, doing things like that, holding the door for people, looking people in the eye and saying, hey, how are you, rather than, you know, trying to make change on such a larger level. You should start small first. And this is what this video is about: starting small. In every aspect of life, starting small and then scaling upwards is something that could be extremely beneficial. But if you want to change someone's world, you have to change their reality first. Because if you're changing one person's reality, you are changing the world. You're changing the way that they see the world. And I feel like that wordplay and the idea of looking at words in a different way, in a different meaning, especially when I just use that analogy of worlds and realities, could go a farther way, because you're able to sort of distinguish and separate different mediums of changing people's lives. You should always want to change the lives of the people in your community first. Do little things, like I said before, holding the door for people, saying hi, making sure the people that are in your life, the family, friends, and people you see on a daily basis are good. Or maybe even just random people doing random acts of kindness. I feel like that's going to get us farther as a society, because what if we all just did that right now? What if everybody on earth just did one random act of good? I feel like it changed the climate of this sort of day and age drastically. So all in all, I feel as if changing the world is very overrated. Social media activism is also very overrated. I might get heat for this. I might be sounding sort of nihilistic. I do feel like I am a nihilist, but I feel like in this day and age, there's different ways to go about ensuing change rather than it always having to do with social media. You know, you can only do so much from your couch. You know, there's people sitting in their, you know, like $500,000 home or even just regular apartment or room saying free Palestine or this lives matter, that lives matter, whatever. And, you know, they type in a couple words, they feel good about themselves, and then they go back to living their privileged life. And then, you know, you turn around and you look at that other person that's in a third world country, and they don't even have clean water. They don't even know if they're eating today. So I feel like there has to be a perception or perspective shift within how we go about social media activism and actually going about changing people's lives, changing people's realities. So that's my take on social media activism and why we should stop wanting to change the world on a large scale. I mean, unless you're like a billionaire, like you're gonna be doing big things, but on a community level, there's a lot of work to be done. You don't want to neglect your community and then, you know, try to prioritize the entire world. That just doesn't make any sense. You have to start small with your community level interactions, and maybe one day, if you have influence, power, and resources, you can scale up and make larger scale change. That's my take on that. Hope everybody's doing good. Hopefully you learned something from me yapping about this specific topic. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Peace.